Hi, my name is Dawn, and this is Have That Talk. Yesterday, we talked about the different ways to say no. These are all relevant in a lot of cases, but not all of the cases. So today, I want to share some other ways that you might encounter no when you're interacting with people in the workplace, but also generally in life. And all these no's are disguised as a yes. Let's break it down. The first yes that is actually a no, let's call it the ghost yes. This appears when you're in a conversation and somebody agrees and nods and says all the right things. This happens in a sales conversation when you're asking for a raise, when you need more budget for your project, when you're asking somebody for something difficult. You leave that conversation thinking, yes, got it. But actually, you don't have anything. You don't have an agreement. And you only realize when nothing happens. You wait, you're ghosted. You follow up. Oh, I forgot. I'll get back to you on that. Oh, yes, but I was doing X, Y, and Z. Sorry, I'll get back to you. You know what? It was a no all the time. So you need to recognize that. The other kind of hidden no is the conditional yes. This is when somebody says, yes, of course we'll do that. Oh, but we need to get finance involved. Or they say, this means we need to involve the IT team, get approval from legal. This, yes, based on a condition, could actually be a no. If you go along thinking, so if I fulfill these conditions, I'll get my result or I'll get my outcome, you might find you come back, you've ticked that box, and then there's another reason why it can't happen. Then you know you're actually dealing with a no. This is the no disguised as a conditional yes. Another no you've probably encountered is the referral no. This is when the idea that you present is then referred to a committee. We need to have a meeting about that. Finance, HR, legal, and comms also needs to be involved. So this is related to the conditional yes, but involves a whole lot of people. When you feel yourself trudging through mud, trying to get everybody's sign off and approval, you kind of know that there's no real yes behind this project. You are just being made to chase around the woods, trying to find something that doesn't exist. The other kind of no disguised as a yes that I'd like you to be aware of is the so-called downgraded yes. This is when you're in that meeting, you presented your idea, everybody thinks it's fabulous, and they tell you how good it is, and off you go thinking, I've got an approval, I've got sign off. But then, bit by bit, people start eating chunks out of your idea. Your concept becomes more diluted because you need to do this, you need to do that. Things are changed, somebody else's input needs to be included. And by the end of that process, your idea doesn't look like it did in the beginning. Basically, your boss, your client, your stakeholder chipped at your idea, molded it into something else that was more along the lines of what they imagined, and you are left to deliver something that actually isn't yours. The final yes. In this case, you never actually hear the no. All you hear is, yes, great, fantastic, go for it. That's really interesting. All the right noises. But then the person you're presenting your idea to goes behind your back, usually to somebody higher up, and there is where they express their concerns. And only indirectly do you hear that your idea didn't land well. You get that call saying, I heard you're working on this project, But it doesn't really align with our strategy, so I don't think we'll be able to give you budget for that. If you're smart and you know your no's from your yeses, you might recognize who it was that might have escalated your idea and outsourced the no to somebody else. So why does this happen? Any rational person would think, it doesn't make sense. It was a good idea. Why didn't you support it? Or, if you didn't like the idea, why didn't you tell me? This is because a no carries a huge social cost. It makes people feel very uncomfortable. And depending on the cultural environment that you're in, and I'm not talking just about geographical culture, but also organizational culture, people's willingness to say a direct no is very different. So the skill that I want you to learn is to be aware of that. Observe people around you and see how the different types of no and the different types of yes are being communicated. And there's so many layers to it. So I encourage you to go out, make your observations, and see how many disguised no's you discover. Not just towards yourself, but also in conversations, in meetings. That will certainly be an eye-opener. And I hope that you'll try that out over the next couple of days. Okay? Because this cultural awareness and this understanding of the no's is so important in helping you have that talk. I'll see you next time.